Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, you guys would have noticed I was doing some testing today, and I was live streaming, and I actually stumbled across this while I was playing a Blade Blast, what was it? Blade Blast, Bladefall Inquisitor. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go, because I've never really liked the whole Blade Blast, Bladefall mechanic. It's good, but it's just not my playstyle. And anyway, I was leveling up with Blazing Salvo, and I was like, wait a minute, this is actually pretty dope. So anyway, I was doing some playtest and whatnot, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should play Blazing Salvo. And that unlocked the Pandora's box of possibilities, which turns out there is actually a dude who has done a fantastic build guide, and I'll put a link to this in the description. His name is by Mo the Lion, and I'll put a link to his actual curations and his build guide and whatever. Now I'll end up doing a variation of this build, but not precisely the way that he's done it, because there's a few changes that I want to do based on using Thread of Hopes and things like that. But outside of that, this is a spectacular build, and he's done a fantastic build guide here, which I gotta say actually works. Now, the only real unique that you need in this build is a Devouring Diadem, which you do the same thing with a Soul Rest build, essentially, but its potential to map on almost basic ass gear is unbelievable. I'll show you soon. I'm already doing T1 to 3 maps with just a Tabula and a Devouring Diadem, and doing them relatively easily. Now, survivability, I've got a bit of work to do on that one, but essentially looking at the actual path of the poe.ninja, which I'm completely surprised by this, that basically nobody's playing this build. There's a few variations that you can play. Now, you can go Blazing Salvo Mines, which are insanely overpowered, but if you want to go self-cast and do something a little bit different, well, you can go with the Fireball and Blazing Salvo variant, which basically you use Fireball to clear maps, and you put that on a 4-link in your gloves. So you get, I think it's Shaped Gloves or Elder Gloves. You get the extra gem effects or whatever, support gem effect skills such as slower projectiles or whatever in your gloves. Good reason to get Elder Gloves, and then basically use that to clear, and then you use Blazing Salvo as just a hit it and just delete boss mechanic. Now looking at the actual tree itself is relatively straightforward, and I'll put the POB in the description, as well as the link to the Mo the Lion's build guide, which is fantastic. Now, where does this sit as far as a starter build? Well, I gotta say, like, aside from this one item here and a tabby, which you'll try and get, which will usually be like 26 chaos in the first day, and they usually drop relatively frequently. The Varying Diadem, yep, take a little bit longer to get. You can get around the mana cost by simply using Inspiration Support Gem. It's going to make it sustainable until such time that you can get Eldritch Battery and convert your ES to your mana pool. Now, from a complexity standpoint, not really any gear at this interim level that I haven't sort of just picked up and or had in my stash as just sort of spare gear. And it's already a very proficient build just in early mapping. Now, looking at it from cluster jewels and whatnot, the only real cluster jewels that you need, and you won't get these straight away, but you're looking at, because this is a max block character as well, uses glancing blows, so pressure points, precise retaliation, then you're going to get Essence Rush, Practice Caster, and Mage Hunter. Now, this one will be expensive, but you can start with 2 of these, so like Practice, Essence Rush, and Mage Hunter, or any combination of that to basically, get around. And the big thing about Practice Caster is the avoidance of interruption from stuns as you're casting. Now on the side of that, Master of Fear, so you get Unnerved, and then Culling Strike from Wish for Death. Pretty straightforward shit. There's no crazy Watcher's Eyes. There's no crazy ass gems. It does use the Red Nightmare, but realistically you don't need this. It's not going to be the difference of a huge amount of DPS. So what damage do you get? And I should note I've taken away his Bottle Faith and Cinder Swallow and everything. So the gear is relatively straightforward. Like, it is higher in gear to craft to eventually, but you could play this in SSF because the devouring item is a is actually a target farming item that you can get from doing the Syndicate missions. Now, looking at all the projectiles in cumulate, so 1.904 million per projectile when you get to this point, and you're looking at like 13.3 mil DPS with culling DPS and everything if you've got the Wish for Death here. Now, as it stands, this is an incredibly powerful League starter, at least the way that I see it. Others might disagree with it, and ascendancy-wise, you know, you're going to be using your Standard Pious Path, Sanctuary, Righteous Providence, and Inevitable Judgment on the Inquisitor, because the Inquisitor is pretty much the best character to go with on this one. Now, from a League start perspective, and I'll take us through a map, as you can see, I've got relatively, you know, okay gear for League start. This is like when you just get out of the axe. This is level 66 right now, and I'll take us for a run through, and we will actually get this cranking.
My mana is spent.
There we go, it is working. Didn't do anything for a second there. Alright, so let's just chuck it into a T2 Grotto map. So we got our Fireball. Now I don't have Val Fireball yet, though I may not get it. And I should note the other thing, so this build does use Flame Wall. So what happens with Flame Wall is when you cast your Fireballs or any other spells or arrows through a firewall, it picks up attributes from the firewall and intensifies the damage. Now I've attached this to Arcanus Brand, and what that does is it means the firewall cast will follow around any enemies that it's attached to. But anyway, let's give it a crack. When it loads. Right, so we're in Grotto, we're not going to proc that. Now, just looking at just Fireball. This is like no real special gear or mastercrafted wands, just the devouring item, so that's not really controlling damage. This is your early mapping with just a tabula. Nothing special. Now we could step this up, and I'll show you. So that's what Arcanus Brand does, and that amps up your Fireball even more. So we'll just attach it to the boss. So just make sure we don't die. Still don't have a lot of gear.
One loss is nothing to be ashamed of.
And like everything here is still leveling up. So when you go to take a boss down, you drop your Arcanus Brand. So in this case, do that here. Wipe out the enemies. And as you can see, like, this is with fuck all gear, it just deletes bosses. I sort of want to do a few more runs through this map. From an early game farming perspective, this is just absolutely phenomenal. And we've got no Awaken gems in this build. You know, you could get Awaken Spell Echo, you know, if you farm it or if you get the currency to do it, and just amp this up even more. And it's just going to be even crazier. I'm actually really just enjoying this build because I've wanted to do a Fireball build for a very long time. And you know, potentially you could get an Asenes gloves, and that would do more damage, and it would also be a sort of explodey chest. We could use Devastator somewhere on the tree. There's a whole heap of possibilities that come with this. Let's finish this map. The other thing is that this stacks... Oh, there we go. We died to Dot because we don't have Corrupted Blood immunity. Anyway, so yeah. This is going to be my 3.15 League starter. Why am I confident that they're probably not going to nerf Blazing Salvo? Well, we look at the stat, right? If we look at players who play Blazing Salvo, 0.5%. Are they going to nerf a skill that is used 0.5% in the entire league? And then the class that uses it is 17% of 0.5%. So are they going to nerf it? Very unlikely. Are they going to? Is GGG going to see my video and nerf it? Nah, I don't think they will. If you're looking for something new, and mean to say, we're still a ways out from patch notes. It's like 2 weeks away, but this is just build planning, build testing for next league. I'll put all the links to the relevant builds in the description, but I can say with a reasonable amount of confidence at this stage that I've actually played this Blazing Salvo variation and it works. I'll be sort of reworking the tree so it's a little bit cheaper, not using bottled faiths and things like that because, you know, it's not attainable in the early days of the league anyway. But as an overall, Blazing Salvo Inquisitor 3.15 league start, I'm going to give that 2 thumbs up. Probably going to be in my curation video for league start builds as well. But anyway, if you like this video, if you think it's a great idea or something really different and interesting, give me a like, give me a sub. There'll be plenty of videos I'll be putting out over the next couple of weeks in the start out to get planning and get ready for the league start. But until next time, bye.